everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Extra Point podcast. I'm in the chair this week, Neil Reynolds, because Fletch is on Champions League duty and Vernon's just being a TV and radio superstar. So I have a very special guest with me, though, this week. Tymal Mills, England, Sussex, T20, Southern Brave in the 100, fast bowler, international cricketer. There were a lot of clubs you played for in recent years, Tymal. I didn't want to list them all, but we will get into that because it's pretty similar to an NFL player, sometimes changing teams. But thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really excited to come on. I'm a big NFL fan. Love it. I probably watch more NFL than I do cricket. So keen to come on and chat some ball with you guys.
Perfect. First question I always ask people: who's your team? Why?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I'm a Las Vegas Raiders fan, obviously formerly Oakland. Yeah, so it's been tough. I got into the NFL when I was younger. Like most English fans growing up, I didn't really have much interest in it. You know, too long, too complicated, that type of thing. But I had a mate at uni who was massively into it. Him and his dad were massive Eagles fans. They got family in Philadelphia, and so I was he would always be watching it, and I'd be around, and he'd try and get me in. And then, eventually I started to go around his house. We'd live together, and then on a Sunday, we'd go around his house with his parents, have a Sunday roast, we'd watch the football, and then watch the NFL in the evening. And at first, I used to just sit there on my laptop playing Football Manager whilst they watched the NFL. And then it's like when you're with your missus and she's watching, some rom-com or whatever, and then eventually you start looking and you're asking questions, and okay, who's that? What does he do? Why does he do that? And then, I just really kind of fell in love with the intricacies of it and the tactics and the mind games, and it's obviously so in depth, but once you understand it, it's so interesting. So I thought, okay, I need a team, and if I'm going to get into it, and I'm never someone that's going to go in at the top. My aim was, okay, I'll go in somewhere near the bottom and hope that you kind of go on the journey with them, and they turn into a good team. And I chose the Raiders. I liked what they were about. They had a good history. They good kits. The Coliseum was a bit of a rough and ready, or very rough and ready stadium, but unfortunately we haven't rose to the top since I've been a fan. But so that's how I kind of came about the Raiders. And then they came to London in 2019, I think it was. So I kind of, when the schedule came out, saw that they were coming to London, I was excited. I was like, oh brilliant, can go and watch them play. And then a couple of months later, I realised, I should have realised sooner, it was the day after my wedding. I was getting married on the Saturday, and the Raiders were playing on the Sunday. So I was, to be fair, I didn't put up much of a fight. I didn't even really kind of float it with the then fiance, now wife. And then I kind of let it go. And then maybe the day before the wedding, or maybe day of the wedding, she said that she'd got us tickets to go, and she took me to go watch them the day after we got married. So big brownie points for her in that regard. And I've been a Vegas fan ever since.
Fantastic. All right, so Vernon's joined us now. Vernon, all I've established so far with Tymal is that he's a Raiders fan, long-suffering. His wife's very understanding. Also, Tymal, you just said that American football goes on a bit too long. You play cricket for 5 days.
Yeah, well, I don't. I only play T20 cricket, so my games are done in 3 hours. So otherwise
it's the same argument, Neil, over and over and over again. I mean, you and I and Fletch must have had this argument. Well, it's a debate. It's not an argument, let's be honest. It's a debate about NFL and American football. And my go-to is always that. Cricket takes 5 days. Tennis, if you're going into 5 sets, it takes 4.5 hours, maybe 5 hours. You watch these sporting events like golf, the Ryder Cup takes 3 days, etc., etc., etc. And I think you touched on something there, my friend, about the intricacies of the game. I think when people say, oh, you like American football, it's a bit weird, it's a bit complex. Well, it is if you're going to submerge yourself into the game. If you're going to get into the nitty-gritty, then there's a lot of complexities with the lineups, with the way that the defense analyzes the offense, etc., etc., and the way that they break each team down on tape. But the actual 4 downs to gain 10 yards is really easy. You've got to get from this mark to that mark and you've got 3, maybe 4 chances to do it. It's dead simple. And I think the beauty of the NFL, which we've all experienced, is when you get into it, you realise that the NFL is an entertainment business. And there's debates to be held here, there and everywhere. But it's an entertainment business because the game stops starting for commercial reasons and obviously the timeouts, which are elements of the game. So what they do in the NFL within the stadium for the fans is they have to entertain the fans. They have to maintain their attention for 3.5 hours. And they do it superbly. They really do. And it's not, I think we're moving past the cheerleaders now. We're getting into stadium interaction. We're getting into the modern technology of what you can do on the Jumbotron and how all the little competitions and the community element of all the NFL teams is such an impact. And one thing that I've really taken to, and I love it, is when you go and watch a live game, and hopefully we'll experience this. I don't think we will in LA or in Vegas because they're both domes, they're both roofed stadiums, is the flyby.
Oh, yeah, the flyover.
I love the flyby. The one in Chicago on the last trip that we had against the Packers. Because it was the Packers, because we were at Soldier Field, it was absolutely spine-tingling. These jets flew over so low. And then what you get, maybe the start of the fourth quarter, you get to see the pilots in their uniform. And they get so much respect from the crowd. It's just amazing. That's the one thing that I really look forward to.
Tymal, do you think that the NFL and American sports had an impact on T20, on the 100, on kind of shortening the game of cricket and making it a bit more of a spectacle?
Yeah, cricket's a funny one. It obviously has, because cricket's pretty much the only sport in the world that has multiple different games, like formats of the game. You know, the NFL is the NFL, football is football, whereas cricket, you know, we play at least 4 different formats of the game. I'm going to Abu Dhabi next week to play a T10 tournament, which is 10 overs and over in an hour and a half.
What's the point of that?
It's easy for us, easy work. But yeah, so we I think they're definitely American. Half. So the 100 was just sold last year. Well, they sold chunks of the tournament to raise money, and it raised a lot of money. And half of the teams were bought with American investment in mind, either fully or private equity and things like that. And it'll be interesting to see how the 100 looks moving forward now that you've got these people that have bought into it, that have experience with American sports, and as Vernon said, the on-site entertainment and the actual match experience. Because cricket, the 100 is a unique format in terms of, because you get 2 for 1. You have the women's game in the afternoon, and then you get the men's game in the evening. So your ticket gets you in all day. You can come all day, which a lot of people do. The crowds for the women's games are really good, and then the men's games are often sold out come the evening. But it'll be interesting to see how they really ramp up and what new things get brought to the fan engagement side of things. And as a player, how does that look? And we felt a little bit of it. So the 100 final is played at Lord's every year, and it's very un-English. They have a performance similar to the Super Bowl at halftime, but it's the end of the women's game and before the men's game. So I played in the 100 final last year, and Zara Larsson was performing on the outfield at Lord's in between the games.
She's a trendy young singer, Neil.
Thanks. I was lost.
Yeah,
I was
sorry.
completely lost.
So normally the women's game would finish and we come out and we're warming up and we're getting ready, because there's not actually very much time in between the games. But we're coming out, we're trying to do our bits so we can get ready for the game, and it's the final. It's obviously a big game, but we're told, we've got people, from the ECB telling us, no, stay still. Zara Larsson's about to walk through the outfield, doing her performance on the outfield at Lord's, which is traditionally a very uppity place, let's say. So they've already started to kind of move forward, which is great, and it'll be interesting to see how it moves forward from here.
Tymal, can I ask you a question? And this one's solely for me. I'm going to be really, really selfish. All right. I've mentioned many, many times on my radio show, and it's well documented. I'll be honest with you, because we're no friends. Now that you're on the Extra Point podcast, we're family. All right. But I'm going to be honest with you.
Please
This is like the first dinner with a new family member, right? I'm not the biggest cricket fan, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah,
all right, don't hate me. I'll tell you why.
Your turn.
Brace yourself, Neil, because when we had PE in games, right? And I'm going to ask you for your advice here. And I think there'll be a lot of kids, a lot of parents watching this, hoping to pick up on what you're about to say. I was never good at batting or bowling. So I was sat on the boundary. And obviously, when you're on the boundary, not much happens because the kids can't pump it out outside the field. Do you know what I mean? It's just a little bit of tip-tappy, off you go. So I got really bored. So I've got PTSD for cricket because it ruined my PE and games lessons. So let me ask you, okay, as a young kid growing up through the system playing cricket, what was the hook? What was the thing for you that got you so addicted to cricket that you became obsessed? And you became such a fan of the game that you wanted to push your career forward in your own personal life into the game of cricket?
Well, I've actually got quite a unique journey into cricket because I never played cricket as a kid. I played my first ever game of cricket when I was 14.
You're one of those athletically gifted kids that we all despised at school.
Well, it was more it was more circumstantial, really. So you said you did cricket in PE and games at school and you didn't like it and it put you off. Well, where I grew up in Suffolk and we didn't play cricket. Cricket wasn't in... I went to state school the whole way through and cricket just wasn't played. My school were big on football and basketball. Basketball, for whatever reason, in West Suffolk is really popular and all the schools play, and there was a really good tournament and the standard was really good, and you'd go off and we had a lot of players go on to play for, like, you know, south of England and whatnot. So basketball, for whatever reason, was my school's big sport, and cricket just wasn't played. The town I grew up in didn't have a cricket team. So it wasn't until I went to upper school. So I was 13, 14, and I had a mate at school who did play cricket, and literally his team was short one day, and he asked me if I could go and play a midweek game. Yeah, I know it sounds...
That's not how your professional cricket career started.
It did, yeah.
Making up the numbers.
It's a little bit of a speaking of America, it's a bit of a Hallmark movie type story, I guess. Yeah. But so literally, again, without going through my whole journey, I went from 14 playing my first ever game to 18 signing professionally at Essex.
4 years.
4 years, yeah, from picking up a ball
to 4 years,
being a professional.
You went from making up the numbers to signing a professional contract.
Yes, essentially.
Wow.
Yeah, I was very lucky.
Congratulations, my friend.
Cheers. Yeah, I'm 33 now, and I'm still going strong and still loving it, and been able to travel the world and, you know, go to World Cups and do some amazing things just because I tried that one day with, you know, my mate, and I said yes, and I went along and I enjoyed it.
Amazing. Can I ask you just a couple more questions? Because you've got me now. I find that story amazing. Because Neil will know that story is kind of very similar to our dear friend F.A. Obada's story, you know, who rocked up to the London Warriors just for the sake of rocking up to the London Warriors because his mates played, and then he spent several years in the NFL. Once you played the game, I would imagine that you're like, I like this. This is great. And then you get coached, and then you get mentored, and then someone, because you've got no youth cricket experience, so to speak, guides you along. Who was that person for you? Who was that real nugget of information that you really attached yourself to?
Do you know what it was? It was probably... I was really lucky. I kind of had at differing times groups of people that kind of helped me and then passed me on to kind of the next stage, and then from there the next stage, if that makes sense. Because I literally started that first summer I was playing village cricket that you would see in any village around where you are. I was just, for whatever reason, I could just bowl fast. I had the tools to bowl fast, and it was quite clear quite quickly that I shouldn't be playing the level I was playing at. So in massive credit to the club, they were called Tuddenham Cricket Club, still playing now. Those guys passed me on to Mildenhall Cricket Club, who within my area are a bigger, you know, they're Premier League club. They have, you know, 4 teams on a Saturday, a youth set up, women's, you know, they're a big cricket club in the area. So they acknowledged that I probably shouldn't be playing for Tuddenham, so they put me over to Mildenhall. And then there was a youth coach there called Kevin Boardman. He was my first, I guess, coach. And I know it sounds weird, but I was literally having to learn the rules, you know, the fielding positions and all that. I was 15 years old, still learning, and then I went on. So I played for Suffolk, who are a minor county. So in England, you have your 18 professional counties, and then you have the minor counties. So Suffolk was one of them. So I played for Suffolk at under 16, 17s. And again, I was very wild. I was very erratic, but I could bowl fast. But I was bowling wides and no balls, and I've got the scorecards. And I was very lucky because as a kid, and it's similar to what you spoke about, Vernon. Most kids that would probably bowl the wides that I used to bowl, or the amount of them, they wouldn't get they'd get one over, and then they wouldn't be asked to bowl again, because it's to the detriment of the team and the captain. You know, it's not worth bowling this player bowling all the wides, or yourself who's out on the boundary. You kind of, and I'd have easily been lost. But for whatever reason, because I did have that kind of X factor, and when I did get it right, it was kind of match winning. I kept getting opportunities, so I kept getting overs to bowl. I kept getting asked back to come and play. So I was very lucky, and then I got passed on to Essex, who were my closest professional county, at 17, and I played a second team game there in the September, and then I kind of got offered an academy spot on the day, and then I spent the winter travelling down to Chelmsford, and I was on the academy. But even then, I think the one thing that, and I think this does resonate across sport, is that I was lucky that I had the freshness, because I rocked up at Essex Academy at 17. I'd only been playing cricket for 2 years, 3 years, whereas a lot of the other kids in the system by then had been playing since they were 6, 7, 8, and they'd been doing the same drills. You know, they'd been turning up at that indoor school every winter, doing the same thing with the same coaches, with the same people, and a lot of them, you lose that love for it, don't you? Whereas I was learning everything and enjoying it, and I think that helped me massively, and gave me it was a different journey into being a professional, and there were obviously challenges along the way, but still loving it now.
I love it. It reminds me, Neil, of when Adam Durdy and Marvin Allen were in NFL Europe, right, and they'd go and do those camps every summer to try and get on the practice squad of an NFL team. And when the Americans would say to them, "Oh, where are you guys from?" And they're like, "Oh, we're from England." "Oh, really? What college did you go to?" And they'd say, "LND State." London State. Like, where's London State? Oh,
you know. It's very similar to the the players on the International Player Pathway Program, like Lewis Rees Sammet recently. Yeah. They've had the Lawrence Okoye back in the day as well. Just completely trying a new sport on a fast pathway. That was what you were definitely on by the sounds of it. Vernon, I want to steer this back to NFL. Did you have another question? I know you said...
I do. Actually, I do. Just one more.
Go on.
One more. Tymal, a lot of people say, cricket, there are similarities in the swing of a cricket bat and a baseball bat. Mm. Have you attempted, a baseball fastball? Have you tried those Are there any transferable skills from cricket to baseball?
Very few. I think it is very different in terms of you see a lot more. You're starting to see on social media now, and people doing challenges. You don't see baseball players try and hit a cricket ball, and stuff, and it's completely alien to them because it is a completely different swing plane. There's a lot more variables that go into a cricket game, in my opinion, because the surface is literally different at every single ground you play at around the world, and the ball obviously has to bounce in cricket. So every single time you turn up to a game, the wicket is different. It will suit different types of bowling. How
long does that take for you to get used to a wicket?
You haven't got long. You turn up, you look, and then you need to figure it out. That's
Sorry, Neil. Quick fire questions coming. What do you look for? So, you're warming up. You're in the crease, and you're looking. You're looking for the cracks in the ground. You're looking for the moisture in the soil and stuff. What are you analysing?
Yeah, so that's more. I think with 5-day cricket, that's probably more applicable. But with T20 cricket, you turn up to the ground, and the first thing you're looking for is the boundary sizes, because you'll have a cricket pitch, and the wicket isn't always in the middle of the cricket pitch. So it's very rarely in the middle, to be honest, unless you're playing a big game final kind of. Then it's centre stage. You're often shifted around the square, so you might be playing, and on one side of the pitch you'll have a really short boundary, and then the other side you'll have a long boundary. So that will dictate as a bowler how you need to bowl, because I need to keep it away from the short boundary, because it's obviously an easier hit for 6. So that's your first thing. You turn up and you can assess what that's like, because if I'm running in bowling short bouncers to a short boundary, I'm going to get pulled for 6 very regularly, and I'm going to get dropped, because that's dumb bowling. And then secondly, you're looking at the wicket. Is it a fresh wicket? Has it got lots of grass, which means it will seam and it might swing around a bit more? Or is it a used wicket?
When you say seam, apologies. Does that mean
apologies.
It grips the surface better?
Yeah, so it will move laterally. off the pitch, because the grass, it will react off the grass and it will kiss the grass, and the ball will stay fresher and it might swing. Whereas if it's a used wicket, if that wicket's been played on 3 times, you can see it will be bare, it will be drier, it will be rough, which means you can bowl your slower balls and it will spin more. And then sometimes it will just be a nice, really good, flat wicket, as we call it, which is good for batting. So as I say, there's so many variables with cricket, and I could talk all day about them.
Are you coming on the trip to LA and then Vegas?
I wish I'd give an arm and a leg. Unfortunately, I've got to go to Abu Dhabi next weekend, so I can't complain too much. But I would love to come. I would love to come.
I'll be chewing your ear off about cricket
next time for sure.
Because I've rejected it. But
I know you need to get up to speed.
I like Neil. Neil. We're massive NFL fans, and so you can't help be an NFL fan without getting into the technicalities of the game. And I think those technicalities about reading a wicket, about the ball. We always hear about plucking the stitches and a little bit of sandpaper, all that kind of stuff. But I think I want to know why it makes such a big difference. And I saw this thing recently where they put the cricket balls through a hoop.
Yeah, when they go out of shape.
Yeah, when they go out of shape. I'm like, who knew?
Well, you have to come next summer. We'll have to try and get together, and you come to a game, and we can.
I'll get egged.
Yeah.
I will get. I'm like, look, I'm learning. I'm here to learn.
Right, I got a couple of NFL questions.
Yes.
I actually had a brief here, Vernon, from our powers that be at Elite Sports Travel. When keep this 95% NFL. Well, we're failing miserably.
All NFL from here, then, yeah.
Let's get it back on track.
All right. Go for it.
So you mentioned the Raiders. Any players you particularly like? Because players and stars drive the NFL. Are there any from other teams that you just think that player's playing? I want to watch him.
Oh, I was going to say from our point of view, it's Max Crosby, and he's I need the team to be good so he doesn't leave. And to be fair, he always says the right things, and he probably could have at some point over the last couple of years, if he wanted to, forced a move and gone to a winning team, because we haven't been a winning team pretty much for the most part since I've been a fan. So as it's going into the intricacies of the NFL, I like watching the game in a really small kind of microscope. Sometimes I don't always follow the ball. I'll like to watch what players are doing, and I might be watching the right tackle and seeing what his what his little assignment is. Or Max Crosby's one of the players that I like to watch when we're on defense, and seeing his moves and how he impacts the game, and he's getting double teamed and what's he doing to get off the ball, and he's just one of those players. He's obviously one of the best defenders in the league. So again, that's not a sexy pick, I guess, but as a fan of the sport, I love watching him play, and I love watching.
On the peak, he can only blossom, right?
Say again.
I said under Pete Carroll, he can only blossom as a defensive player.
You'd hope so, yeah. You'd hope so, but I guess a bad team is a bad team, and it's hard to, no matter how good you are. You see with Myles Garrett with the Browns, he had that 5-sack game the other day. Yeah. They're still a terrible team, and there's only so much, especially on defense, a player can do. If you have an amazing quarterback, a quarterback can win you games and change your organisation. But I think. I like watching running backs. I like guys that hit the hole, and I like when we had Josh Jacobs. He was great to watch. Obviously, we've got Ashton Genty now, who looks like if we can give him a good offensive line, which we don't have at the moment, he's somebody that you feel like could be special. But I think we might have got it the wrong way around in terms of getting the running back before you have the O-line. So I think one thing I have massive respect for as a cricketer watching the game is the wide receivers, because I was watching Red Zone with my mates the other night, and how because they could run routes 80% of the time and not see a ball. So they're busting their gut, they're running their route, and then nothing, and they have to do it over and over again. But then it's that one catch, and especially when they're deep, and how they can look back and track the ball with these huge stadiums and the lights and the cameras and everything that's going on, and they can find the ball. I find that amazing. Cricket, we know it's coming. If it's going in the air, I know it's coming to me for the most part. I might have to run 10 metres either side, but it's coming to me, or I can tell it's going to my mate over there. Whereas they've got no idea until often they turn their head. So I think wide receivers in the NFL is, that's an amazing skill.
I've got a question for both of you here. Vernon, the trade deadline was Tuesday, 9 o'clock UK time, the New York Jets
Oh, Neil.
traded away Sauce Gardner to the Indianapolis Colts for 2 first-round picks, one in 26, one in 27. They traded away all-pro defensive lineman Quinn and Williams to the Dallas Cowboys, who had the second worst defense in the NFL. That's got to be tough for Jets fans to swallow, Vernon, even though you know those picks are coming in the future. But we know those are kind of lottery picks, sometimes draft picks. What did you make of those two decisions by the Jets?
Well, firstly, it's obvious that they're having a clear out.
Yeah.
They're building for the future. And I think it's brave because the big question is that the Jets have got to ask themselves, is our head coach going to be the right head coach to take our first round draft picks? Because I think they've got 4 next year.
So they've got 2 firsts and 2 seconds in 2026. In 2027, 3 firsts and a second round pick. So the first 4 in each of the first 2 rounds the next 2 years.
It's insane. It's insane. So what they've got to do is, and we know historically how this goes in the NFL, it takes time. It takes time for any NFL team to build a solid group. Now, if you start at the foundations, you're going to spend some of those top picks on an offensive line. You have to.
Right.
You have to. Because if you believe in your quarterback, which obviously we know the Jets don't, because it's going horrendously at the moment, one of those picks either next year or the year after is going to be a quarterback. It's got to be a quarterback.
Well, that probably costs you 2 picks as well to get up there to get one.
Exactly, Neil. So then you have to protect that quarterback. And because the only way, and we know historically, the only way quarterbacks can blossom is if they are safe in the pocket. So they're going to spend a lot of high picks on building an offensive line. Then you've got to stop people scoring touchdowns. So this process of a Jets fan, if I was a Jets fan, I would hang up my Jets memorabilia. I would put it all in the closet. I wouldn't wear anything green for at least 6 years.
6, that's a good cut-off.
I think 6 years, you know after 6 years whether all this is going to pay off.
Tymal, for you, I wonder, because I looked at your bio, and with respect, you've had more clubs than Tiger Woods.
Neil with the gang! Lovely!
So you move around and you have to. That's part of your professional career, especially as a T20 player. What are the challenges? So, for example, someone like Sauce Gardner didn't know he was going to get traded, wakes up in New York, goes to bed in Indianapolis, and has to suddenly walk into a different locker room. How have you always coped with suddenly a different changing room and then another different group of players and another different? Is there something you can do to kind of combat that each time?
Great question.
I think he'll be okay because he's one of the best players in the NFL at his position. So it's not like he's coming in as like this, meek little guy who's, hi, I'm nice to meet you. I need to prove myself. He's Sauce Gardner. He's a top 5 cornerback potentially in the league. So they're going to be keen to have him. All the players are going to be like, yeah, come, you'll have whatever you want. Take my locker. Whereas, as you say, the circumstances can be different. And I'm very lucky. I kind of have the best of both worlds. Where during the English summer, I've been at Sussex now 11 years. I'm always here. I know where I'm going to be. In the 100, I've played for the same team for 5 years. And then in the winter, I go off, and as you say, I'm a month here, I'm a month there. I go wherever I go. And I love it. And you meet new people, you learn. You don't realise what you don't know until you go into different environments. And you go into a new team. And in my case, I go into different countries and new cultures and meet new people. And I learn all different things. I spend a lot of time in South Asia and the subcontinent, and you learn things that you would naturally never learn if you just stay in the same place. So most people, I think, in my opinion, often thrive in new environments because you have to, and it's a bit of a sink or swim, and you have to prove yourself. Even though I said he is Sauce Gardner and he's amazing, he's still going to want to go in there on, whenever I think he's got concussion at the moment, hasn't he? But whenever he has that first training session, he gets in the meeting room with the cornerbacks or whatever, he's got to prove himself to a certain extent. And ultimately you prove yourself on the field. And once you get on the field, you're just playing and you're doing what comes naturally. So I think he'll be fine. I think, as you say, he'll be an alpha personality, I'm sure. But I think going back to what Vernon was saying about the Jets, it's quite rare to see something like this, because it's not often teams really admit that they're bad and they're a long way from being bad, because especially when you're in the culture of the GM and the head coach, you don't have much security. You can't be bad for that long. And most teams will think, okay, we can get a bit better. Yeah, like the Jets, if they smashed their draft next year and kept Williams and kept Gardner, they might be able to get to a 6-win team next year or a 7-win team. But who cares? If you're a 7-win team, right, you know, it's rare. But teams, for a lot of GMs and head coaches, that's progress and that keeps you in a job. Whereas Vernon said now they've sold Williams, they've sold Gardner, they've gotten capital. So hopefully in, as Vernon says, 6 years' time, they could be a very good team. They could be a playoff AFC Championship game type of team. But you know, who knows? You've got to make the right picks. That's the thing. You can get these picks, and you got to pick the right players.
Neil, let me ask you a couple of questions about this trade, because they've got rid of 2 very, very good defensive players, and the teams that have picked up these very, very good defensive players. Let's talk about the Colts first. They're absolutely flying with Daniel Jones under. Yeah. You know, we're seeing a brand new Daniel Jones, and we talked about this on the Extra Point podcast. He is absolutely blossoming in Indianapolis. Do you think this trade for Sauce Gardner is a move by Indianapolis to say, right, we're going to give the playoffs a real good push?
Yeah, I think it sends 2 major messages. It says that the Colts believe they have a Super Bowl window open now, and that this is a wide open league, a wide open season, and they can win it all. The other thing it tells me, they are 100% committed to Daniel Jones, because you can't draft a quarterback now in 2026 or 2027. So that there's a long-term contract coming for Daniel Jones very, very soon. So that's a twofold message, really. It's like, you are our guy, and we believe it so much we don't need to get one in the first round. Because realistically, with the exception of Jalen Hurts and a couple here or there, Dak Prescott being an exception, Tom Brady being the most famous one, you need your quarterback to be a first-round draft pick. So the Colts, to me, have really got behind Daniel Jones with this trade. They've strengthened their defense. They needed help in the secondary. As Tymal said, one of the best in the business. So I think it's a really strong message. And you mentioned Sauce Gardner being an alpha. Josh Downs has worn number 1 for his entire career in Indianapolis. He's already wearing number 2 now.
Really? Gave it up, straight up.
I mean, I'm sure there was a bit of cha-ching there.
Yeah.
NFL players don't give anything up for free. We've heard some horrendous stories of players wanting certain numbers, and the cost, the dedication to that number that they've paid for in either cars, Rolexes, or just straight up cash for a number. Neil, let's talk about the other one, Quinnen Williams. Obviously, Micah Parsons went. Is this proof that the Dallas Cowboys know that they left a massive gap on their defensive line?
I think, I think if Jerry Jones could have got Micah Parsons to sign on the dotted line, he would have done. That went south far quicker than I think he expected. He's been a tough negotiator all his NFL career, and I think he pushed Micah Parsons too far, cutting the agent out, talking directly to the player. Quinnen Williams fixes some of that pressure right up the middle. We saw it with Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh, of course, is on our coverage on the TV. That's great. I don't think it completely changes the defense. It might help a bit. They're 31st in the NFL. They also picked up Logan Wilson, a linebacker who had been benched by the only defense worse than the Cowboys, the Bengals. So you can read into that what you will. But from a Jets point of view, the Jets weren't winning the Super Bowl with Quinnen Williams. You win Super Bowls with Patrick Mahomes and Drew Brees and Peyton Manning. So they're positioning themselves to get a quarterback. So that's how you, to Tymal's point, that, you know, I'll use this example. Miami for years with Dan Marino, he was good enough to win them 7 or 8 games, sometimes 9, sometimes 10, but they were never good enough to win a Super Bowl. But they couldn't rip it up and start again because it was Dan Marino. The Jets are in a position to burn it down to the ground and go again.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating week watching this story unfold. It really has. I mean, I don't think I've seen Adam Schefter's face often as I have these past Yes, I mean, I've seen him more than my wife.
Oh dear. Tymal, I want to ask you about a couple of. I got to ask you about the Ashes because obviously that's coming up. That is going to steer it back to cricket in a second. But stadiums that you'd love to watch a game. Have you been to games in the US? And where would you like to go?
No, I haven't. I was in Dallas last year playing a T10 tournament, and I had a game on whilst the Cowboys were playing the Lions, so I couldn't go then. And then also I was trying to get to the UT were playing Oklahoma in the Red River game, and literally we were in Dallas, and again I had a game that finished probably just as the college game was starting, so we ended up just watching it in one of the many sports bars that Dallas has to offer. So I think, whilst I'm not massively into college, the stadiums there are amazing, and just how obviously you have the huge, Michigan and the huge ones like that, but even the smaller ones, like we drove past SMU's in Dallas, and it's kind of built into the kind of landscape of the town and stuff.
Yeah.
Whilst you'd say that a lot of the new stadiums are a bit soulless and obviously they're obviously multi-purpose and they're built to do a lot, aren't they? But just it's more what goes on whilst you're in, isn't it? And as you say, the entertainment and what's on offer. But I'd love to go to one of the remaining older stadiums. So you guys going to Soldier Field, before that gets kind of knocked down and whatever they end up doing there, and Buffalo and those type of places. That's a bit more of a authentic experience, isn't it? But Americans, no matter what the sport, they do sport brilliantly, don't they? And it's one of the things that you can't go to an American sporting event and have a bad time, really.
Well, I beg to differ. Hang on, Vernon. I beg to differ because I went to watch the Miami Dolphins last week. I'm a Dolphins fan. They lost 28-6 to the Ravens. The stadium was half filled with Ravens fans. The other half, the Dolphins had the brown paper bags on their heads. Oh, this never happens. I don't know if you'll find someone who's a bigger anorak of the NFL than me. Vern, third quarter, the Dolphins get the ball to start the second half. Do I watch the Dolphins or do I queue for ice cream? Ice cream.
Go on.
I went ice cream.
No.
Stuff.
That was a lot more palatable than what the Dolphins were serving up.
Wow. Wow. Well, let's be honest. It's both vanilla anyway.
I guess as a neutral, I mean, if you can go somewhere as a neutral, then especially college, I'd love to go to some more college games. They do college football is pretty much unrivaled, really, isn't it? For kind of a product and a day out.
And I think when you just watch a star player as well, watching Lamar Jackson last week throw 4 touchdown passes, and Vernon, when we go on our trip, the games there'll be games and then there'll be players within games that we want to watch. That's all part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, I've got my respect for Matthew Stafford is growing game by game.
Yeah.
And I know he's considered a real veteran of the NFL now, but his maturity in not only the huddle, but on the field, the way he reads the game, he's got this bizarre, calm, cool, collected patience.
Mm-hmm.
And now that he's got a decent wide receiving core, it's allowing him to become more comfortable in himself, if that makes any sense. Because he knows that he's got 2 great wide receivers in Adams and Puka that can do it for him. Just throw it out there and they'll go and get it.
I think, Tymal, you'll probably know this as a professional athlete. When I watch Matthew Stafford, and you'll feel it at times, so he's had 21 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions to Vernon's point. It doesn't look easy. It's never easy. Drew Brees once told me off for saying it's never easy in the NFL when I put a question to him the wrong way. But he certainly looks comfortable, and it certainly looks like he's seen it all before, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he's, as you say, he's always been known. It's not like he's kind of suddenly transcended. He's always been an up, maybe not the top 5 quarterback for his whole career. He's always been top 10. You'd argue. He's obviously played for a Lions team that struggled for a long time, but he was off, as you said with Marino, he was often he kept them okay for a while. So he's always the type of quarterback that you would say you would win because of, as opposed to could win with. So. I think when you have Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, and you've got Kyron Williams, good running back, and you've got Sean McVay as well, that's probably the big multiplier. I think that makes a huge difference. You'll know more than anybody with how much you've covered the league. The head coach and the play caller makes a huge difference, and not being a quarterback, but imagine having that person in your ear, and you trust them explicitly that they're right. I can guarantee you there's a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL that might get stuff through their ear and they don't fully trust or believe what's coming through, but they have to go out there and execute it. So I think that's a huge thing. You've got that synergy between coordinator and quarterback, and then the quarterback is able to produce what the coordinator wants. So you get the coordinator always pushing the envelope. I assume a lot of coordinators can't do that because they know they're a quarterback with limitations. So I think it's cool to see, as you say, someone older in age still slinging it around and doing the business.
Neil, just think of the games that we're going to see. We're going to go and watch our first game on Sunday is the Rams versus the Seahawks. And now the Seahawks are at the top of everyone's list, with what they're doing there. But there's a little personal battle that we've got. It's Adam Durdy. It's Adam Durdy versus the Rams offense, which we've just bigged up, which we've just talked about. And we know their head coach is pretty wild at the Rams. But Adam and him are really good friends. That's the beauty of this matchup.
It's brilliant. I mean, it's a great matchup. You got that. We're going to see Dak Prescott. We'll see Quinn and Williams with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Vernon, Sky have just added on to this trip for me. I'm staying out to do a couple of games. So I'm now watching 5 games in 11 days.
Oh, come on.
I go Dolphins Commanders in Madrid to the Cowboys Raiders in Vegas. I go to Buffalo at Houston, and then I fly to Pittsburgh at Chicago, and then I'm in Dallas for the Cowboys against the Chiefs on Thanksgiving Day.
What a game!
Mrs. Reynolds,
you're getting some air miles there. You're not doing that in the right. You're not saving the planet there, are you? You're not doing it in the right order. You're going up and down and back and forth.
Who planned that? The same person that plans the F1 season.
It's not so much a carbon footprint, more of a carbon explosion. But if I stay at home and put my feet up in December, turn the heating down, I think we'll be all right. I've got one question for both of you to end, and then I want to just let everyone know how they can get involved in the trips with Elite Sports Travel. Second half of the season's just about to begin. We're into that home straight. There are 17 teams at the top of the standings within 2 games of each other. That's more than half the league. So here comes the unfair question. Who's winning the Super Bowl, Vernon?
Well, firstly, because I have to, because I want to, I'm going to say the Seahawks. I've got family up there as well, and not just dirty. But I'm going to say, let's wait and see if the Chiefs get into the playoffs. Because if the Chiefs get into the playoffs, I'd give it them all day. I know they looked a little bit ropey against the Bills. I understand that. I know that Patrick Mahomes isn't firing. I get it. But just you wait. Yeah. Let's do that old Bill Belichick analogy and assessment of wait till we get to the playoffs. Because the season is just us getting ready for the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think you can't shy away from the Chiefs. You really can't. And in previous seasons when they've gone on and won it, I've not been anti-Chiefs, but I've never had faith in the Chiefs. And now that I've seen the Chiefs come up against a little bit of adversity, the NFL fandom is turning against them, as always happens with any team that's victorious for a run. It all happens, whether you like it or not. I would just say, let's hold our horses. Let's pull the reins a little bit on the Chiefs, and let's just wait. Let's just wait. Yes. I'm going to go Eagles again because they're not firing on all cylinders. They're really, but just you wait. Saquon, I saw you guys talking about Saquon. He's ready to go. He realizes now that the pressure that's on him to be the stud that he was last year is now mounting, and I think their quarterback needs to pick up his game a little bit.
Eagles Chiefs Volume 3 coming.
I'm going there. I am going there. I apologise, everyone. But there are contenders, and they're very, very good. But I just think that those guys have a reputation that needs to be kicked on and literally kicked up the ass.
Yeah. Tymal, for you?
Yeah, I think the Chiefs do look a little bit ominous with the way they've played the last few weeks, you get the feeling that they're rising. But I think we spoke about players we want to see and want to watch and superstars. I think Josh Allen he does encompass that, and I would love to see. As a Raiders fan, I can focus on them down the bottom doing whatever we're doing. Hopefully, try and get a decent draft pick next year. But then I can watch the money business end of it as a neutral and just as a fan. And I love watching Josh Allen play football, and so I'd love to see the Bills do it and go all the way and kind of settle those demons. But look, if you look at the standings, the Colts, the Patriots, and the Broncos they're the three teams with the best record, and it's just hard to it's just the pessimism of sports fan, isn't it? You can't, because you haven't seen it before. You can't trust that Daniel Jones are going to go to the Super Bowl. You can't trust that Drake May and Bo Nix are going to go to the Super Bowl. But they're winning at the moment. They're up there. So I think I'm going to go with the Bills. But the Patriots, they do look really good, and they're playing well.
Everyone's fallible. Everyone's got issues somewhere on the field in all three elements of the game: offense, defense, special teams.
Yep.
Every single team that we've talked about, every single team that's in contention, they've all got issues somewhere, and they're all beatable, as we've seen in the season so far. Yeah. I mean, I didn't expect the Colts to trip up at the weekend. I thought they were up and running. I thought the machine was absolutely rolling, but they tripped up. They stumbled.
I think they lost at Carolina.
Sorry, I think this is quite rare. What we see now, this is kind of how American sports are supposed to be. Is with the system and the draft system, it's not. Yeah. It's supposed to be against dynasties, isn't it? But it hasn't worked like that for a long time. Whereas now, in theory, the Patriots, they were bad. They got their high pick. They got their quarterback, and now they're at the top. The Broncos, whilst Bo Nix, what does he pick? Maybe 10th, 11th overall. He was still a first round pick, and he's helped them get to the top. So this, in theory, this is how it should work in the NFL, isn't it? The Colts have obviously gone about it a different way, and then you've got now the Chiefs are at 5-4, and it should work like that in cycles. But as we know, there's still a long way to go until January, February.
There's a story that's going to bubble up, and if the Colts do well, it's the Jim Irsay story, like the fact that he passed. And they go on and have a playoff run. I think that is the story that's going to be the real emotional story within the NFL.
I got one of them for you as well. Here's one for you, for Buffalo fans, if you think it's written in the stars. So this year is the year that the legendary coach Marv Levy turned 100. And the only stadium Josh Allen has never played an NFL game in is Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. Site Super Bowl 60.
Oh, there he is. There's Neil Reynolds. Yeah. Love it.
We are going to wrap up. I'm just going to let everyone know. It's great, isn't it?
Amazing.
What I do, Vernon, I just drop it in casually and then move on.
Yeah.
Just let people digest that on their own time.
Never play. Oh, that is a beauty.
A good one, isn't it? What? So, if you want to go to Super Bowl 60, you can do that with Elite Sports Travel. Check out Ben and the team on social media at elitesportstravel.co.uk. They have the regular package, which is tickets, hotel, flights, drinks, events, parties, all of that. They are also doing a more budget-friendly light version this year, which doesn't include a ticket. But if you want to get out to San Francisco, enjoy all the atmosphere, all the pre-match events, you'll get the drinks event, the parties, you get the NFL experience, all of that will be there, and then you watch the game in a local bar on a Sunday. And of course, that's going to be a fraction of the cost. Either way, you can soak up some Super Bowl atmosphere with Elite Sports Travel. Make sure you check out that. Tymal, I forgot to ask you, I need to ask you this. Last question, I promise, then we'll go. The Ashes, how's it going to go?
I think it's going to be really exciting. I think this could be one of the better series in terms of the teams being pretty well matched in theory. I think England have arrived there with all the fast bowlers fit and firing and ready to go, whereas Australia's already lost their captain ahead of the first test. Pat Cummins isn't going to be fit, which is a huge blow for them because he's one of the best players in the world. So I think England they go in there with as good a chance as any, but the Ashes it is amazing, and it's intense, and the crowd and the atmosphere it is like no other thing in cricket. So I think it is shaping up to be a really good series, an entertaining series, because when England play well, they dominate games. It's not, they don't just play well and win. They go out there and they destroy teams. So if you get the best version of England for a decent amount of time throughout the Ashes, I certainly think that they can right a lot of wrongs. But I don't think England haven't won a test in Australia for like 12 years or something like that. So the record in Australia has been very poor. But I guess it's on this regime to try and change that.
All right. Well, we know Vernon's going to be watching. He's a new fan.
Yeah, through the night.
He's going to learn about swing. He's learning all of that. All right. So my thanks to Vernon. Good to see you again, Vern. And Tymal Mills, thanks for joining us on the Extra Point podcast. We'll be back next week. Until then, bye for now, everyone.